This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. My name is Benita Lambert. I'm the host of the show, and I want to thank you for tuning in to us every single week and also tuning in on YouTube. Just in case you want to share the information that we have with anyone else who may have missed this, because some people do work and we record, at about 1 o'clock. So I have two very special guests. All of my guests are very special. We have Mr. Charles Bachman. He
Hello.
is your mortgage guy, and that's what we're going to be talking about. He has some really important information to share with us about reverse mortgages as well as regular mortgages,
Interest rates,
I guess.
property
Interest
values,
rates,
where
everything.
rates are going.
Here we go. And Charles has his own personal producer. I was just whining about John Inuzzi.
First of all,
Welcome to the show.
allow me to offer my services
Oh, you heard
to
it.
Vanita and to anyone else who might be interested in hosting a show. Call that number. Well, I guess my number's not up there, but I'm easy to find.
Yes.
Call Charles.
Yes.
Second of all, thank you so much for having us back.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's a
something-
great opportunity.
Something did happen in the interim, the time between we were here last and now. I gained about 10 pounds.
Oh,
The camera, I believe they say, adds what?
10.
10 pounds.
So that's
He's 20
extra
pounds heavier.
Gee, I have to say, you don't look it.
Thank you.
The camera has slimmed you down.
Thank you. But
Well,
no,
it's-
I'm excited to be here. And this time of year always reminds me of when I first started working with Mr. Bachman, with my mortgage guy.
That's right.
I
It
was
in
in
the
a
spring.
position where I needed to make a move quickly. We know how competitive the real estate market is here in Connecticut. I was in a panic. I was in a frazzle. And he got us through the process.
Awesome.
So I said, whatever you need, you call me. And here we are.
So how long have you guys known each
A
other?
couple of years now.
Oh,
We're
okay.
into the second year now.
We've done a radio show together.
We've done radio. John got very lucky. He got in during COVID when rates were super low. The deal that we got John in at 4.25 today would probably be an 8% loan, 7.5. Because it was very hard to get self-employed people qualified during COVID when they weren't working and they weren't doing shows and they weren't meeting people and they just
Everything
weren't,
was shut down.
everything was
and
working
I
against
understand.
people.
Oh my God.
It was
So
very
how's
hard.
business now? So first of all, I want you to introduce yourself again and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
John, go first.
John, you go first.
As the guest.
My company is a Bridgeport-based broadcast company, and for the longest time we were strictly radio, but we've now branched out to podcasts, which I think everybody should have a podcast. Everyone has something to say, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm adding great clients, and I've worked with people like Mr. Bachman. People have information to disseminate, and they want to do it in a number of different ways. And I just recently brought on a new client that I'm very excited about, who is the largest real estate developer in the state of Connecticut, a gentleman by the name of R.D. Cinto. Mm-hmm. And he does a monthly podcast, and he is a fascinating individual. And you want to talk about a bridge? We should get him here on this show.
I would love that.
The history that he knows about Bridgeport is just, I sit and just listen to him tell these stories about
Fascinating.
Bridgeport 60 years ago.
Let's get him on this show. I think I met him because our company we rent office space on Research Drive. He was at our ribbon cutting. He gave my son his business card. I said to my son,
Hold on.
You should call him.
By the way, that business card, a very high stock. It was a very thick quality, but not a flimsy business card.
For him.
Not like mine, right?
But so business is getting back. But
Great.
the point in all of this is that when I met Mr. Bachman, business was not so good.
Not so good.
And he managed to still move the chains, as they say in football.
Charles
made it.
is the man.
I am
when
the-
you are in a sticky spot with your mortgage.
In fact, we just closed the loan yesterday in Maine. Now that's how far, because we lend in every state.
Right.
We closed the loan in Maine for a family that had to close on something. They had been to half the banks in Maine and they couldn't get it done. And then it got
Wow.
referred to us to an accountant that we know in New Jersey. And they said, "Can you do this?" And I said, "Yeah, we can do that. Get me this, and this." And they did. And they were very happy and they closed. They got the money they needed. They were buying out family. It was a probate situation and they wanted to keep the house. The mother had passed away. It wasn't reverse. It was a forward mortgage, but mortgage is still mortgage for people that are out there. And 5 states away.
That's phenomenal.
We got it done.
Vanita, can I ask you?
Nationwide.
Nationwide.
So, did you have to go to Maine, or did you do it, by the telephone?
Virtually,
Look at that.
virtually,
So everything
everybody.
was done virtually.
Yeah.
If you have family in North Carolina, South Carolina,
Anywhere.
in the United States,
Right
that
from
cannot
our
get a
office.
loan in their own state, and he was able to do it. That's incredible.
I think so.
That's incredible.
And they were very
That's
happy.
amazing.
And when they came to us, they said,
I'd be happy.
Well, it saved them. It was either they buy out the two sisters or they put the house on the market.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to keep the house. So we arranged for the financing. We bought out the two sisters. The two sisters got their money. Our applicants got to keep the house. And the rest is history. They closed
That's
yesterday.
phenomenal.
Right on time.
Vanita, I know that you go into people's houses. You
Yes.
said that. Have you ever had to deal with a family dynamic? I mean, you talk about probate. Sometimes that could get awfully sticky.
Yes.
How do you
Absolutely.
navigate that?
In regards to,
Well, let's say you sit down with a parent, but the kids are not on the same page.
that happens all the time. I have this family. There were 10 siblings, and the client was my mom. Their mom was my client. And so every time I went to each sibling's house, they would interrogate me about the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tell them that, I will protect all of your information. It is 100% confidential. I will not share it with anyone, not even your mother. And it kind of shuts them up because,
Very well done.
yeah.
It's very well done.
Well, it's the truth.
Well, we have a
I won't
fiduciary
do that.
relationship.
Yeah.
You have to keep everyone needs to have their information kept private.
And then we lost one of the sisters. We lost the mom not too long ago. I think I told you about that. We lost her in February. She was going to be 97 on February 15th, and she died a couple weeks before that. And every last one of them called me
Yeah.
and wanted to know about life insurance and this and that and the other. So the only ones I could discuss it with were the owners and the beneficiaries.
That's
So
right.
if there are 10 names as beneficiaries, I would go to 10 different homes, submit 10 different claims, and so hand deliver 10 different checks. That's how I handle it. That's the only way to handle it. Life insurance is the most efficient way to transfer assets ever. And every single beneficiary check is 100% tax-free.
Life insurance.
The
is
worst
great.
thing you could do for your family is leave them your children an IRA or 401k.
Right.
Okay?
Because the tax man cometh.
Yep. And it's third generation. They have to use all that money within a certain amount of time. They still have to pay the RMDs on it. It's the worst
What's
thing you can do
RMD?
for your required minimum
Minimum
distributions.
distribution.
So 401k, you don't pay any taxes on it until you retire and you're 72. Then the government mandates that he wants his money, wants his tax money.
That's right.
And so that's when you pay the taxes. So if you die in the interim, then your kid is left with that burden, or your beneficiary, whomever.
Yeah,
you
they're
give it
not
to.
happy about
And
it.
they only get 10 years to do it, and they start collecting 4.2%, and in 10 years, it's up to about 10%. On a good year, bad year, they're still gonna take whatever percentage out. Like, say if it's 2008 and, you lost money, they're still gonna get their 8%.
That's right.
Because they want you to pay taxes on it. So that's why it's the worst thing to do. Seems like you and me ought to have a private conversation, John. You're looking at me like...
Well, I'm fascinated. Again, we've said over and over how both of the businesses that you folks conduct, very personal level. This is not selling a cable subscription to a family. This is serious stuff.
Long-term relationship.
Right.
These are solutions to problems, like if you're having a problem with your mortgage. I want to hear some more about what you have to share with us, Charles.
Well, today we're here. Well, basically, I have a couple. Everyone always asks me, how did the reverse mortgage situation start? And I have right in front of me the explanation of the very first loan was written in 1961.
Wow.
It
They've
was-
been around that long?
Yes, well, in its initial stage. It was written in 1961 to a woman by the name of Nellie Young in Portland, Maine.
Again, Maine.
Oh, we're back in Maine
back-
again.
didn't even have that, okay? By a small savings and loan up in Maine, and it was very unique because her husband had been the high school football coach, and he had passed away. And the town loved this family so much that they rallied around the family to go to the local savings bank to say, how can Nellie get a stipend of money monthly to keep her in the community as repayment for all the years of service for her family, from her husband rather. So they came together, they made an annuity, which is essentially what a reverse mortgage is. It's just a new annuity. And that was the very first loan that was made. And from there, people got the idea, and it just followed suit, and then the government got involved. And in 1983, FHA got involved, and in 87 and 88, and the government just kept making the program better and better so that seniors can so that they can, what do you like to say? What's your catchword?
Live their best life.
That's it. So people can live their best life.
Yeah, not be tied down with a mortgage.
And stay in place. I had a woman just this week call me. Her mother wants to stay home. I closed the loan for the daughter about 6 months ago. And on my bottom of my email, it says reverse mortgage specialist. He says, can I ask you about that? And I said, I was meaning to talk to you about it, but we had so much going on with your deal. She goes, my mom wants to stay in place, but we're running out of money. The number one.
Your story.
Everybody says the same thing. We are down to the last $10,000 to pay for the aid. And I'm like, well, that's not going to last that long. They say, no, maybe we can make that to $2 million. So the house is in Pennsylvania, again, nationwide, doesn't make a difference. We take care of everything. And I sent her proposal, and she said, gee, really, I really thank you because I don't know what I was going to do. She was going to go to a bank and try to get a personal loan for $30,000 or $40,000, which really wouldn't have gotten her, too many months going forward. But we're working on that now, and it was all because of a conversation that was had months ago about, her mother and what her care level was, and we're doing that now.
I swear that I believe that, like in my grandfather's situation, he knew in his head how much he had left. And I believe that as that number started to dwindle down, it hastened his demise. I really think.
He's stressed about it.
I think that if you look at his demise, and how he kind of petered out, it followed the same curve as his money.
Right.
Exactly.
A hockey stick down to the right.
So that's really heavy-duty stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out, too, the one thing that we talked so much about when we did our radio show was the protections that are in place, because there was a certain stigma that was attached to this.
Yes.
Mr. Bachman likes to say over and over, this is not the same loan as it was back when you
1961 or in the early 80s.
Or 83 or whatever.
But those counselors that people have to talk to before they move forward, these folks are doing really important work.
They are. That's so important. I'm glad you brought that up. That happens not only with these loans, but with insurance, life insurance, annuities, and things like that. We answer to the commissioner of insurance. So
correct.
If we make an investment for you, that investment has to be suitable. We have to prove that. We cannot enroll someone into a situation that's unaffordable for them. Mm-hmm. Or say, for example, someone has their last $10,000 and they want to buy an annuity. We cannot do that. You have to have a certain amount of liquidity in order to enter into these types of contracts. So this is the same thing. You have to go through the suitability questioning or whatever you call it in mortgage, right?
Yeah, we have a woman right now up in Newtown. She comes to me about 2 months ago. She goes, I think my house is worth $500. And I Google it and I say, gee, I think it's worth more. Anyway, we just had it appraised for $580.
Nice.
She is ecstatic. She's going to get more money than we thought about. But she was on with her counselor for 3 hours. 3 hours. Now, this is after I met with her for an hour. I met with her and her son for an hour. And she did 3. So that's 5 hours worth of conversations that are happening before anything really goes forward. And those are the things that have to be done. The government requires that people do a counseling course, and it has to be mandated, and it has to be a government-approved counselor. It used to be that people used to have to go to the counselor's office. COVID changed that. You call up on an 800 number, and you just chat. They'll do it on a call. They'll do it on a computer screen, whatever people are comfortable with. But that's what needs to happen first. The senior needs to be completely satisfied that this is something that's going to help them to go forward and that they're comfortable, which is key.
And they have to understand every single aspect
Right.
of it. The taxes, the homeowner's insurance.
Exactly.
And,
Who
all
pays the
that.
payments,
It's
yes.
important to know that you still have to pay your homeowner's insurance and your taxes. It is only the mortgage component
That is taken away.
That you're, exactly.
Plus, we give them the credit line. What people don't realize is that there's a credit line built in. So every year, the loan that we put on the property gets a little bit bigger, allows for inflation, allows for extra costs that can go on. And people, I've yet to have a client that we've closed on that's called me back, because we do a follow-up. I do a follow-up at 3 months, and I do a follow-up at 6 months. And I've never had anyone at either of those time points say, boy, this was a bad idea. Never, ever has anyone
That's a
said
good
to me,
statistic.
gee, this was not a good plan. Money changes people's lives.
Speaking of money, so that extra 80,000, what does what did that ultimately mean for your client?
That got her, good question. I think she got an extra 10 or 15 up front.
Okay.
Which, that was a year's worth of taxes.
Sure.
Plus our credit line's going to be that much bigger. And she was on the fence about this, and her kids were on the fence about it, and they weren't sure, and they hemmed and hawed. We had multiple meetings, multiple times, and finally I said, look, you do your counseling, and if it's right, we'll go forward. If not,
there's no pressure.
there's
That's
no pressure.
What,
you can't pressure people on it. It's too complicated. It's too personal for them. It has to be what the family thinks is best for people to have their best retirement ever and their best life going forward.
Their best life, I love that.
And that's it. They want to have their best life going forward. And sometimes it is for home health aid. It's to make the house energy efficient, put ramps, just make the house more livable for them in the second half of their life.
That's right.
And that's what people want to do, and they want to stay home.
I know I do.
Yeah, with their pets.
I have two. You want one? I can loan you one.
I have one. No,
I have
thank
extra.
you. No, thank you.
Extra pets. Vanita, what are some of the red flags when you're looking at different policies for people? You ever hear them say something that makes you think maybe maybe I shouldn't move forward here?
I do. And so first of all, what I do with a person is I do a complete confidential needs analysis based on their health, long-term care, final expenses, retirement income, and then I do the importance of retirement planning, which is 3 circles. The first circle is your now money, which is a checking account, your later money, which is your savings, 2-3 months worth of whatever your cost of living is, and then your nest egg. And I go through every single aspect of what's in your nest egg, what is the money earmarked for, you got a 401k, you got property, and then I ask them how do they feel about their risk, with their nest egg. And then I also ask one very important question that pretty much tells me a lot. How much, after you're done paying all of your bills for the month, how much are you able to save on a monthly basis? And so that question will tell me what they can afford to do right now. If I sit down with somebody, I'm in the inner city a lot, so a lot of people are not able to save money. How many times do you hear
It's hard.
60, 70% of Americans are living check to check because they're not able to save anything? So if they're not saving anything, dependent on their age, I will get them a small, cheap little 10-year term policies, which is the cheapest. And I set up a budget with them. I set up a budget, and the first thing I do is I pay myself, because I used to pay all my bills. There was no money left to save. And that's everybody's situation. That's 70%. So the first thing on my budget, pay myself first. I save money first. I don't care if I don't pay anything else. And once you learn to do that, and you don't start off saving, $200. It depending on your budget, if it's $25, $50, pay yourself first, something you're not going to miss, and don't touch it. And then I review with them. And I invite them to my fish fry. I do follow up as well. I call
It's almost
these
that time of
people.
year, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're both invited to the fish fry. I'm not going to give the date because it's by invitation only, but you're both invited. So I'll give it to you guys. But, those are the red flags. People, I want, $500,000 life insurance policy. but they're only saving $50 a month.
Right.
What's going to happen? They're going to throw their money away. And you got to listen to, you know, what everybody says. You have to listen to their story. And so what we do, we don't sell any products. We offer a solution to problems and try to resolve problems. That's basically what it is.
It's really amazing how
So
many,
and I've learned that if an emergency comes up and you're not saving any money, you took your last $50 to pay for a life insurance policy, as soon as Christmas come or the car breaks down or whatever, it's over. And you're gonna lose that money. And I tell people that. I don't want you to lose your money. Let's try something first, you know, so that's how I handle
And-
a lot of things.
and-
What about you, Charles?
well, in the reverse world, it's a lot of time we're using retirement income, but people are surprised how little Social Security goes. Even this, now, I'm handling, my mother had a stroke a couple of months, so I'm handling her. She just got the largest increase in Social Security. It was, what, 8.7%?
Something.
It was huge, and it'll never go backwards. But even still, I mean, you can't, I mean, people think that they're going to retire and live on Social Security. It's just never going to happen. It really is the biggest fallacy.
It is.
And if people don't save for themselves, they're not going to really go forward, which dovetails into why the reverse is such a great product, because people don't realize they can have a house that's free and clear, and they can set it up where they can take out an extra $1,000 a month, which gets them $250 a week. And I've always often said, you know, an extra $1,000 a month is a lot of
It's
extra
a
money.
lot of money.
It really, I mean, and that's just, you know, that's money for them to do the things that they want to do. But it's amazing how many people that we run into, and you know, they're on Social Security and a very small pension, and it doesn't add up to all that much.
Yep.
And not to live in the Northeast.
Exactly.
You know.
Oh, especially Connecticut. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
not to live in
It's
our
so-
footprint area here. It's,
And Bridgeport, the taxes in Bridgeport
Oh,
are
crazy.
stifling.
Yeah, that's a mortgage right there.
yeah.
Benita, one of the things that Charles and I talked about so much a year ago on the radio, and I'm assuming it's still a major issue for people that you guys are dealing with, is inflation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it hasn't gotten better, has it?
Electric, fuel.
It hasn't gotten better, but people are still spending money. The
They
economy
are.
is good, so
Where are people traveling? I understand that people are I can't get to the Poconos, let alone Bermuda, but people seem to be traveling a lot.
Yeah.
Florida. Everyone's had people are traveling
Yeah.
to Florida. I've run into 3 people just this week. They're either on their way or they just got back.
Yep.
They went down to the Keys for a short junket to get warm a little bit.
My son's in Colombia right now.
Really?
On-
And I have my
vacation.
granddaughter all weekend. I'm
Okay.
getting her after this.
Well, there's the savings right there.
Oh, what's that?
The babysitting.
Oh, yeah. Childcare is, I wouldn't be able to afford it with my 2 kids.
Unless you're
It's
going through it, you
unbelievable.
can't even comprehend how quickly that adds up.
You don't have your daughter in childcare, do you?
She's in a Montessori program.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, we did talk about that.
That's
a
like,
good
I feel like
program.
I'm paying a college tuition.
Yeah, oh, you are. So it is just so important. I love and appreciate this platform that David Goodman left for us, for our community to take advantage of this information.
Get the good stuff
It will
out
not
there.
cost you anything to pick up your phone and call Mr. Bachman and just say, listen, I heard about this. Can you explain it to me? Or just get whatever information. I know someone that's in a
how
certain
it starts.
situation, and just get the information. We are here to help you. I advocate for seniors. It says so on my car. I have 2 car magnets, and I really
saw it today.
do.
It's true.
It is. It's true. We have to help everyone, and this is how we know how to do it.
And people really need to
Give the
start.
information.
And,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of companies that are selling reverse mortgages on television through the internet. What we do is we go to your home, like you do.
Mm-hmm.
People want someone to come down to the house, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, and sit over a table and have a conversation and get a notepad. They like to take notes. And that's the way we do these files,
Yep.
one at a time. We go out to the house, which is a part of the process that we like to do.
And the one thing that I would reiterate is that time is of the essence in this situation. I can tell you from personal experience, I saw what happens when a grandparent starts the process and runs out of time. And it's terrible. It's a terrible
Yeah,
thing
that's
to
what
witness.
happened with John. Yeah, because
Yep.
we did start it, and then it just
he got sick, and
Yeah, the clock ran out.
the second wife got involved, Anita, and then it just didn't happen. And
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, we have about 3 minutes left. So I'll split those between you two guys. What would you like to leave our audience with today? I mean, you could tell your story about how you ran out of time. Don't wait. Don't delay. Get the information now.
yeah. No, I would just say that it came down to the difference between that extra $1,000 a month.
Or
For
more,
how
or
long?
more.
For 5 years?
Oh, that would have been for a while. That house was free and clear. It would have changed. It really would have made everything different for
I
them.
mean, this is a house he built.
Yeah.
Back in the day, all the Italian-American immigrants all had a trade. So I had one uncle who did electrical, one uncle who poured concrete, and they all got
That's
together
true.
and did each other's houses.
Yeah.
They all look the same, but
That's
They were all
okay.
nice.
but that's the house that he lost, essentially.
Yeah.
So sorry.
So
Charles, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
My number is up, 914-263-1882. If you're thinking about it, if your situation is limited, if you find yourself not doing the things that you would like to do, not taking care of yourself, not taking care of the property. You know, a lot of the people, I mean, as we've said, their house is their biggest asset.
That's
And
right.
it doesn't take a long time for a house to go downhill quickly with water damage. Even if it's just to do the heck'em to repair the property, to get it back to a marketable place. We have people that come to us and say, look, I want to do a heck'em, I want to invest X amount of dollars over the next 24 months because my goal is to leave, but I want to get the house up to snuff where I'm going to get the biggest dollar, the biggest bang for the buck when I go to sell it. We have a lot of people do that too. Some of the budget goes specifically to just maintaining the property, which is, look, if anyone's had anyone come to their house to do work, you realize when the guy gives you the estimate, you go, really? I mean, it's expensive to have quality work done at your
Oh,
house.
I know. I know. I just had a bathroom put in. So everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in. Please follow us on YouTube. Thank you, Charles.
Oh,
thank you,
Benita, thank
John,
you.
for joining
Thank
us.
you for having
They're
us
going to be
back.
joining us quarterly, hopefully, after I talk them into it. So everybody have a nice weekend. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.